Hi, welcome to Dunclair, the home of photo tours of historic buildings in England and France. Today we are visiting the historic Priory Church of Great Malvern in Worcestershire. The church has a magnificent array of medieval and Victorian glass windows, but it's just one of those windows that we have come to take a close-up view of today. The Priory, which was of the Benedictine order, was established by the monk Aldwin and supported by St Wulfstan, who was the Bishop of Worcester at the time. Of course, the original church was built in the Norman style, but in Victorian times the ravages of the dissolution of the monasteries was put right by massive works which turned it into the perpendicular style you see today. Most of the stained glass windows were installed in the 15th century, and the church has the largest display of 15th century glasswork in England. Some of the medieval glass was the gift of Henry Tudor, King Henry VII. What a pity that his son Henry VIII did so much damage to buildings around the country, all in the name of his new religion. The window we have come to see today was funded by the Freemasons of Worcestershire. It tells the story of the three masters who were the leaders of the project to build the first temple of Jerusalem. The window shows that Freemasonry is demonstrated by symbols and veiled in allegory. I'm not sure, but I think the bottom three panes are referring to the parable of the Good Samaritan. That is understandable, as I believe that one of the fundamental principles of Freemasonry is caring for the needs of others. What we'll do now is zoom in onto the three masters. We'll take a look at the symbolism around them and especially admire the fantastic skill of the glassmakers. The patterns in their clothing is fantastic. We will also mention their individual roles in the building of the first temple. We will start with King Solomon. In this shot we see King Solomon in close-up holding a model of the temple which was his project. The temple was built to house the Ark of the Covenant. This view also demonstrates the fantastic skills of the craftsman who made the window. We will now pan down the window, admiring more fantastic workmanship, to meet two more interesting men. Here is Zerubbabel. He was a prince of the line of David. He was the first principal leader of the building of the second temple on the return from the forced exile in Babylon. This is Haggai the prophet. He foretold the destruction of the first temple by Nebuchadnezzar and the Babylonians. He also foretold of the return from exile. He is therefore considered to be a representative of hope. You will notice he is holding a level and a pair of compasses, working tools of a stonemason of the time. Haggai was the second principal leader of the building of the second temple. Solomon certainly liked fancy shoes, didn't he? Now we meet Hiram, king of Tyre. He was the second Grand Master of the building of the first temple. He supplied much of the cedar wood that was used in the temple. Interestingly, it was floated across the sea to Joppa before being moved to Jerusalem. He also supplied many of the skilled craftsmen who built the temple. Now we see some more fancy shoes. I'm not going to say much about the two kings in the corners except to say that showing King David with an orb was a big mistake by the window's designer. Whilst he was doubtless a clever man, it wasn't until the Middle Ages that European Christian kings held an orb. Of the three masters who led the building of the first temple, we have met the man who conceived of the project and the man who supplied the materials. Now we meet the genius who made it actually happen. His name was Hiram Abiff. He was the employee of King Hiram of Tyre. He was a master stonemason of carpentry and metalwork, a genius. Above Hiram's head we see a square and compasses, more working tools of a stonemason. Here we see Hiram holding a pair of compasses in his left hand. Notice the blood vessels in the hand. What skill the glassmaker had. In his right hand we see a plan of the temple that Hiram had drafted. Notice here that unlike the other masters, Hiram has no shoes. The window designer has once again got me confused. He is showing Jeremiah as a builder. The man was a prophet who, like Haggai, foretold the destruction of the temple, but he took no part at all in building it. Finally, we will view the three bottom panes of the window, which I feel shows the parable of the Good Samaritan. Notice the rich kid with a big stick walking by on the other side of the road. The second pane has some miracles. We have a donkey and some flasks of wine. Why has the Good Samaritan got a slipper in his hand? I hope that you have enjoyed this video and found it interesting. If so, please subscribe to my channel. It will help me a lot.